Hey guys, I've got about 10 minutes at least to do this in, but today I'm probably going to buy a few movies, seeing as I have the money to do so. And one of them I'm considering buying is one that a lot of people like. It's been described as a very trippy movie, and that's Annihilation. Basically, it's a sci-fi psychological thriller, horror. I wouldn't say typically horror. From what I understand, that probably doesn't start until midway through. I can't really say. It's just one of those kind of films where it looks like it's all right, and then it's like the violence, the stuff like that begins, but it's kind of trippy, as some people put it, and just from what they put on, just from like some of the best scenes and clips they put online, from what has been described through Wikipedia, plot-wise and everything, and the fact that the main cast of heroes, or heroines in this case, are women. And what they go through is pretty much, I hate to say this, pretty much out of the playbook. I would kind of say right out of the playbook of an adult fan fiction NFSW fantasy. Excuse me there. That's what it feels like. It feels like something you would read in a fantasy story, because what happens to some of these women is pretty much almost I wouldn't say a fetish, but basically something that's become very popular as of late. Women turning into things or stuff like that. Just strange things happening. And even my sister, my second older sister, mentioned this on Facebook, that she was watching it, because Facebook allows you to let people know what you're watching. And even she said it was a trippy movie. And when I hear people talk about trippy movies and stuff, and I hear that word get tossed around, especially nowadays, it leads me to believe that this movie, Annihilation, along with others that have come out recently, in the past couple of years, the past year or so, this year, what have you, possibly upcoming. What that tells me about these, what it tells me is these kind of stories, these kind of movies that we're getting now, that are, as people put it, trippy as heck, and you basically use the special effects to not only change the atmosphere around the characters, but change the characters themselves. And the fact that, like I said, recently we've been getting that with movies like Annihilation and like others that have preceded it and probably will come after, it kind of tells me that what people thought wasn't possible is here to stay. Let me put it to you like this. There are other unique fantasies, adult and erotic, and unbelievable, never gonna happen, like scenarios that in the past you wouldn't even think would get touched upon, but nowadays is more possible than ever. I mean, heck, I'll give you a trippy film that I own, Lucy, with Scarlett Johansson, and they're making a follow-up to that. But how can they make a follow-up to that with Scarlett Johansson if her character is now everywhere? If you catch my drift. I mean, she's basically a part of the part of the world. She's basically just in every whatever inch, you name it, of the world. She's everywhere. Now, how can they bring her back? And apparently they're going to find a way to do that. But again, that itself is a trippy movie with all its visuals and stuff. Atomic Blonde, even though it was kind of a female Jane Bond on answer to James Bond, had some trippiness to it. Snow White and the Huntsman, and Snow White and the Huntsman, and even in the movie that came after it, featuring the Huntsman, it had some trippiness in it. The point is, there are movies that have preceded Annihilation, will come after Annihilation, that have gone and done these kind of things, and it's not going to be the last time this happens. It won't be. It won't be the last time. And like I said, there's a lot of adult-oriented fantasies and, fantasies that borderline, if not cross over, into NFSW territory, if not erotic territory. That some people would say would never happen. But guess what? It's very possible it's going to happen. I mean, if this trend continues, you'll see those kind of things happening. I'll give you an example. SV is short for something. I'll put it to you like this. What word is opposite of hard? And what's opposite? And what's a word opposite or another term for eating? You kind of get the idea, right? Or there was a lyric that I think it was Nirvana or some band put out there. There's a lyric that talked about reversal birthing. Kind of get what I'm saying, right? Well, basically, those are just hints of some of the adult-oriented material that borderlines or crosses over into NFSW and erotic. Those things right there. And if what we've been seeing recently, like I said, like with movies like Annihilation and movies that have preceded it and will come after it, don't think something involving those kind of scenarios that I just hinted at isn't possible, because they are. Don't think that there won't be a movie where a girl gets turned into a liquid woman and has fun, and it's a comedy, and she has fun with her liquidating, shape-shifting powers and turns into different inanimate objects or melts into a puddle just for fun and giggles and all that. Don't think that won't be possible, because it will be. I mean, think about it, folks. We are in a day and age now where even a movie like Annihilation has been praised for its visual effects, and it's a very trippy, it's very out there kind of movie where pretty much certain things happen to these female women, these female heroes, if you will, this female team that, like I said, you would only think about in fantasy. You'd read about only in fantasy. And like I said, you would only read about in fantasy. That's about it. You would only read about what happens to some of these women in fantasy. I mean, one woman, turns into a freaking flower, into a plant. Another woman basically, I wouldn't say disintegrates, but turns into a ball of light that turns into what was the description? Degenerates or turns into a freaking, becomes engulfed in light, and thus turns her into a freaking portal or something, an amoeba-like portal, which takes the blood, a sample of the main character's blood, and creates basically a kind of like a liquefied humanoid copy of her. I mean, again, this is stuff you wouldn't expect. And yet it's happening. So again, like I said, do not put certain things that I just mentioned, like don't put that SV situation, which again, what's the opposite of hard? Soft. What's another word for eating? Get the point. Or what about that song one band talked about with doing with depicting birth in reverse. If you know birthing in reverse, you kind of get the idea. That if those kind of that if what not that basically you get the idea that if any basically what I'm getting at is if Annihilation and movies like it before and after have proven anything, is that kind of stuff I just mentioned or referenced or hinted at is indeed possible. Like I said, it is indeed possible that down the line you can see a freaking live action comedy of a woman that gains slime-like liquid shifting kind of like powers, and she has fun with it by shape-shifting herself into inanimate objects, into different people, melting down into a puddle, heck, even taking a bath in herself in a tub. I mean, come on, that kind of stuff's possible now, and especially with a comedy like that, it's possible. So again, if movies like Annihilation and others like that have proven anything, is that all that I've mentioned is possible, and that we are now in the era of trippy, of visually trippy, out of this world movies that we never thought would be possible, but now are. And that's all I'm gonna say, folks. I gotta get back into work to enjoy my last hour watching The Door. But let me know what you guys think down below. Comment if you like, and I am out.